Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant. I'm a life coach, speaker, and believer in the boundless power within every one of us. Each week, we're diving into raw, transformative conversations that not only spark healing, but growth and unshakable clarity. Because you know what? Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard, and your purpose is waiting to be fully lived. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where I have someone in the house today that I actually met a couple months ago in San Diego at the Secret Knot Conference. The minute I met him, I literally put my hand on his shoulder and thought, number one, my gosh, those are a lot of muscles. But I knew he was someone you all needed to know. So we have in the house today, Bruce Cardenas. I want to welcome him immediately, but we have so much to unpack here. So welcome and thank you for being on the show, Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Yes, it was great meeting you at the Secret Knock in San Diego.
Yeah. Did I say Secret Knock? I think I did. Did I?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, Secret Knock, Greg Reed's event in San Diego, which was great. And you were like across the room, and I knew you were, energetically, I knew you were doing something in the world. I can always feel that heart energy of service. And, that's exactly who you are. I wasn't wrong about that. So, when I was there, the first thing we did, I think outside, we took a picture together on your book, Lead with Value. And man, how's that going? I think it's a bestseller and you are jamming on that.
Yeah,
all over the country.
It was a work in progress. Yeah, it became a bestseller in a couple categories. I mean, with some help of some friends, obviously. Yeah, it was something that I drug my feet on because I always thought smart people write books, right? And I spent some time a few years ago with a guy named Bedros Keuilian, who's a coach and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, after we hung out, we worked out, we had lunch. He said, Bruce, after I heard some of my stories, he said, everyone on earth has one book in them, even if your mom's the only one who buys it, right? He goes, you might have 7 or 8 books. And I thought, okay, whatever. And then I thought about it. I just started writing it. But yeah, it was definitely, it's really just my story. And my story is not that exciting, maybe, but it's all the learnings in my life, the stories that got me to where I am from.
People think it's pretty exciting, and I've read it. I think it's a pretty great book. There's I have a stack. I'm a huge reader every month. I'm looking at 15 that had been sent to me this month. And I think Lead with Value is very heart-driven, service-driven, and gives a lot of information. Why do you think people should buy that book?
I think they should buy it. I originally, when I got done this whole Lead with Value thing, because I've always lived my life. I bring value to other people. I really, truly have no expectations in return. And I wrote this book. I think I wrote it for the 12-year-old Bruce, who was in Highbridge, New Jersey, who really had no idea. I had all these dreams, and as a visionary, and read these articles and thought, how do I get out of this home? How do I get out of this town? And I feel like this book might have some nuggets for a young teenager who is like, what do he or she want to do when they grow up? And here's some of the things I did. How I got my first job, paper route. How my dad taught me work ethic, and which was the most important thing I ever learned in my life, being around my dad. So I think it's for a young person that wants to, and it doesn't matter what age, but that wants to do something. One thing, I talk to so many people that are like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do this. And you end up, people die with their dreams. They're on their deathbed and they never did what they wanted to. So I did this book, and I have another book coming, and I encourage people to just do it. If you want to write a book, do it. You want to start a company, just do it.
It's my favorite line. I'm saying, gosh, Nike just coined it. And I said, I can't say it any better than that. Just do it. What's so interesting is that when you said that, I'm thinking the 12-year-old Bruce, we all have that 12-year-old inside of us. And that's probably navigating from a place of trepidation or fear or stories that we've created. So I really love the fact you went back and wrote a book, kind of like a love letter to him, and said, hey, it's brilliant. I just think it's brilliant. Wow. You're a business leader. You're a health advocate now. You're of service. You were in the U.S. Marines, the LAPD. Everything you've done has been of service, and you continue that. Tell me, let's go back to the beginning. You said the book and the 12 of you kind of set me up here. I'm gonna pivot like I always do. Throw this girl. What started out drawing you in to doing what you do, and let's unfold it
Hmm.
into where you are now? I know, big question. Three
Yeah.
parts.
No,
One
I could.
part.
I definitely can anchor this all to my father, who we grew up very middle class, if not lower middle class. Five kids. He was a he electrical contractor and worked really hard, but he instilled all these values, and he was our Boy Scout leader. He was our little. He wasn't a coach. He was like the assistant coach for Little League and football because he really wasn't his thing, but he did it because he wanted to support his kids and be around. And it's interesting when you're a kid, your parents aren't that cool, right? And I always wondered why all the kids never want to hang out with my dad, but it was because he did things. He was
Yeah.
like a modern day Jocko back then, former Vietnam vet. We'd go hiking, canoeing. We'd hike 50 miles of the Appalachian Mountain every summer with the Boy Scouts. He taught me all these perishable skills. He got me involved with shooting when I was a little kid at the range. And going back, all these things, all the work ethic I learned was from him. I remember when I was a kid, and at that age, like 12 years old, the kids in the neighborhood start buying the mini bikes and dirt bikes, and I said I really want one. He goes, well, I'll tell you what I'll do, if you come up with half the money, I'll match it. So I got a paper out, and then I was working as a stock boy in this little local market, and I learned right away that if you're gonna have to work if you want something. And my dad's clearly not. I'm not a trust fund kid, so going back to that, he instilled all these things. And even when I was a Boy Scout, we did these community events. And my dad grew up in a place where his mom used to bring in kids that were homeless and live with them for free. So he was always about serving people. So it kind of came natural to help serve the community and help other people. That's where it really all started. It's kind of in my DNA.
Wow, I love that. I grew up with a family of five too, kind of middle class, and my dad was very similar. Hey, you want it, you got to work for it.
Right.
Outside of my Barbie village that, at 7, I had with a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
van, all those things. I have such great memories of the 70s. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, and I know that really dates me, and the 80s are great too. But there was just something. I was young, but I still remember a lot. I remember a lot of peace, even though Vietnam's ending, all the
Right.
things. I didn't know that of the world because I lived in a village of a family that, like you said, there was structure,
Yeah.
and you carried that structure on.
Yeah, I really did. I mean, I got to tell you, I wish I could go back in time. My dad's gone now. He died of cancer at actually 59. But I don't think I got a chance to really tell him how what he instilled in me. I mean,
Ah.
I really never got a chance to say, You really defined who I was." So it kind of bummed me out that I didn't get a chance to do that.
Oh, I bet he knows. I bet he knows. That's another interesting thing we have is my dad at 57 drowned. So I never
Oh,
got a chance to tell
yeah,
him the impact I always said, oh, I had things to say still. And
yeah,
I think that, do you think, Bruce, that makes us who we are when we don't get that final, like confirmation and connection that we go out there and that we might want to be more of service and pay it forward because there might be someone out there that didn't get that message too, or that
absolutely.
opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, listen, we communicated well. He saw my success. I mean, before he died, I already had
Yeah.
great success in this bodyguard business, and he saw me become a police officer, which was a dream. So it was. And we had he. I was proud of him, and he was proud of me. But I didn't really have those conversations very deep. I figured, as we all know, we'll talk sometime. There'll be more time. There's more time, and
Oh, what
yeah,
song is that? The Cat in the Cradle? Is
yeah,
that?
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, you took me right there. Yeah, we have more time. Wow, yeah. So, what are you the most proud of? What is it you want to pay forward now that you are the most proud of?
Um. Probably my kids now, and
Mm,
it's strange now because I was not the greatest dad when I was younger. I mean, we didn't stay together with the mom, and I had a lot of gaps in time. But now it's crazy. Fast forward, my daughter's a nurse locally. She lives with me. My son's a contractor. He lives with me. We just have a nice bond, which I feel like I made up for lost time because there was years where I was just absent. So I'm most proud that they and my other daughter works in tech. I mean that they're contributing to society. To me, that's the greatest thing, right? That your kids are raised to bring value to other people, right? My daughter's a nurse, which is a great occupation, right? So
yeah,
yeah, that's probably the greatest. I mean, everything else is secondary. Like I say, all money does is facilitate things in life.
yeah,
And if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a bad person, you're bad. Doesn't. But everything else at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when we're at our grave, I mean, what are they going to say about us? Oh, we worked really hard. She worked really hard, or were you a good human being? Did you did you bring value to other people? What do your kids think about you? You know?
Right, right. What is something I so am in agreement, and I just keep your story keeps unfolding, and the synergy is unbelievable, and I'm like, yeah, I keep wondering, yeah, I get that completely. Um, what is something that you've always wanted to talk about, and perhaps you haven't?
Um, whoa, something I haven't talked about. I guess being vulnerable to there's listen, we all the book that I wrote, self doubt caused me not to write that book. Even now, there's things that come up, and I'm like, are you sure? Can you do that? It's really, to me, it still lives in my brain. I don't really like talking about it, but because, oh, you got this great success, you helped build these companies, you wrote a book, you're fit, all these things, but I still have self doubt, which is not something, no one wants to talk about that, right?
No, but we all have it. We go
Right.
back to the 12-year-old or versions of us that still lead. And I often say there's a version of you that's leading and doing and making decisions that may not be the adult Bruce or the adult Dana, but
Right.
there's your outcome. You're going to address that, and that self-doubt needs a little more self-love and a little bit more nurture and more disconnect from the external and more internal. So you really led me into the fact you lost 60 pounds.
Mm.
Let's
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at, I mean, when I met you, I just remember the energetic connection of like, oh, this is a really, I was so drawn to your energy, but I touched your shoulder and the muscles were like ridiculous. They're
Yeah,
ridiculous. So when did you lose the 60 pound? What
well,
generated it? What
well,
motivated
yeah,
you?
absolutely. So I've always worked out. I was that kid in high school. I went to the weight room with a group of guys. I
Yeah.
was pretty big. But I'd gone through, I went in the Marine Corps, and that was my first transformation. I got out of boot camp all lean. And I say it like this: I remember very clearly when I was a young police officer. I weighed 240 and had a 36-inch waist. 240 and 36 waist. And then
That's
fast forward
insane.
10 years later, I have a 40-inch waist, and I'm still the same weight. But really, and so I've always worked out, but I was just carrying too much fat. I mean, everyone said, "Oh, you look great," but I started speaking at these at these masterminds, and I was on stage, and I remember I was starting getting pictures back, and I'd say, I don't want to post that picture, I look fat. Oh, I don't like, oh gosh, look at that, I'm
So
sitting in a
guys do
chair.
that. So guys do that too.
Oh my god. And I'd be sitting in the chair, I'd be like, oh my god, like, oh, I can't post any. Oh, can you edit that? And I just remember, I it was almost simultaneous. I looked at a picture. I said, "Oh God, I'm wearing a double X sweatshirt." And my friend Carl has a meal prep company here in LA called Sunfair, and he said, "Hey Bruce, let me send you some meals." And he said, "I there's only three rules: drink a gallon of water a day, eat exactly what's in the cooler, and send me a picture of the scale every morning." And I started
Mm.
doing that, and 55 pounds later, and I'd work out, and I got back to my high school wrestling weight, and I've never been as I look bigger now at 200 pounds than I did at 250. It's crazy. I'm just more muscular.
Well, it was more muscular. How did you build those muscles?
I've always worked.
I've always wanted to, I wanted to ask you then, but we were so busy. It's like, how did you like, what did
I'm
you
very
do? Like,
I'm very religious about. I do the same workouts. I mean, I work out probably 6 days, probably 7 days a week. I do something, but 6 days a week I do weightlifting. And very, I mean, it's not like when I was younger I do all these crazy weights. Now I just have a circuit, but I still lift very heavy. Joe Rogan says the best: lift as heavy as you can, as long as you can. Even when you're older, just you have to lift heavy weights. That's how you keep the building muscle. So, but I enjoy it. It's a therapy for me. I work out the same time every morning, and I encourage everybody to do it.
so losing, I love that you lost it, and you had the mindset, hey, edit that picture. It sounds
Yeah.
like,
Oh, it was embarrassing
yeah,
because I was like, oh, and even and but really, I told you before we started filming, my book was done,
yeah.
and then I said, you know what? Here's really the answer. I said, your greatest wealth is your health, because I had some issues, some different cardiovascular things going on, and I was like, at the end of the day, I don't care how you look on the outside, it's what's going on inside, and
Mm.
it led up to this whole other conversation that when we started Quest, we would hang out as a group of people, and we all agreed, gosh, 17 years ago, every single one of us on earth are going to be affected by heart disease and cancer. And we all have been, if you don't, you know someone or personally. So
Yeah.
we started spending all this money on cancer research and heart disease. But that also led, this is part of my why, to stay healthy now. Because what's the point of being above 50 and, friends drop dead every day of different things. And so,
Absolutely. I look at your hat, legendary, and I know that you get your finger in a lot of pies.
yeah.
And it's all about service and giving back. And before I go there, we're going to like springboard off what you just said. For the people that are listening that are struggling, saying, I don't know where to start. It's like last year I lost a lot of weight and then I'm like, oh, shizzle, I've never had my skin hang ever. And I'm
Uh,
like, and I started researching and it said heavy lifting, heavy lifting, heavy lifting. And I'm like, and that's what I did. And I was just telling my new grandson, he's 18 pounds. And I remember going like this. I had him all day long and I'm like, bing, bing, bing. I mean, any chance I get, I know
right.
18 pounds isn't heavy lifting, but I'm going to tell you, he was heavy. But it's like, my heart is, and I tell people, hey, heavy lifting.
For
But the
sure.
people that might be struggling right now on where to start, and they're like, I'm too old, it's too late. This story, we hear it every day. And I don't think it's going to work for me. If they don't have the discipline in place, do you think they could start now?
100%. 100%. Listen, you got to start somewhere. I say just start. Like, even if it's a walk, after dinner, take a walk around the block by yourself or your dog or your significant other. Just start somewhere. There's key things: drink more water and eat more protein. That's just to start. If you're going to do nothing else, just eat more protein. None of us get enough protein. Everyone thinks they do.
Yeah.
When you do the math, no one gets.
How much protein do we need?
Well,
Do the
listen,
math.
there's a calculation that for every pound, you're supposed to get 1 gram of protein. So if you woman weighs 120 pounds, she should get at least 100 grams of protein. And that's not hard. But when you break it down, if you have a little calculator, you keep track of it, people sometimes get 20 grams of protein a day.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
protein is going to fill you up. It's going to, carbs make you hungry. And, there's good carbs and bad carbs. But if you're going to do anything else, start walking. That's just start walking and then drink water and eat protein.
I
The
love it.
weight's going to come off. The weight will come off.
Well, I lost a lot of weight and I started walking. Then last year, September, I walked the Camino to start in Porto, ended in Santiago. Loved it. I love to walk. I walk every day. I'm a huge advocate for that. But building muscles a whole nother.
Mhm.
I'm a huge walker, but it's so crazy. You said the protein. People are like, "Are you eating that tuna out of the can?" You bet I am.
Yeah, yeah,
Are you drinking bone broth? You bet I am. As much as all day long, as much protein as I can get in. It's like I'd love to have the time. I'm busy to put mayonnaise and all the stuff I
yeah,
want,
yeah.
but I'm going to get the protein in. But what is the key to building muscle? And I find that when we get older, it's harder. And what about that? Do you have any information on the GLP-1s and the Ozempics that are losing the body structure and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't know I was gonna lose all my muscle and I'm hanging in. How do I rebuild the muscle? Where do they start? Is it
Well,
just the protein and the heavy lifting?
yeah. One thing, if you are taking any of those, which I don't, I'm an advocate of, if that's what you need to get off the curb, don't think you're going to end up having, the Ozempic face and lose skin. Double down on the protein. And listen, lifting, I get it. Some people have never lifted weights their whole life. Go to a gym, go to place, get a trainer. But yeah, don't do the Ozempic and do nothing else, because then you're gonna see the effects of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would just eat better, eat more protein, because it's going to affect your body. But yeah, that's really the answer. And listen, at the end of the day, as we get old, we are deteriorating. We're going
Right.
to lose muscle cells. Now, all the more reason to lift.
And our eyesight
Yeah,
and
everything else. But that all the more reason to keep lifting heavy,
yeah.
keep taking protein, keep taking collagen. I'm not a big. It's funny. I just talked to someone about this whole biohacking thing.
Oh yeah, let's unpack that.
Yeah,
That's huge
let's.
right now. It's
Yeah,
coming at me full force.
it's everyone, and I don't begrudge the people that do everything. They seem like I make. There's a meme going around. This person, wake up with a cold plunge, and then red light therapy, and then this. And they said by the time dinner's ready, before you do all your biohacking, it's dinner time. To me, I've always lived a healthy life. I mean, I will drink a bottle of water on the way to the gym. That's it. I usually fast till about 11:30 in the morning, and I tan. I mean, vitamin D is really important. I'm a big believer in that. But other than that, I mean, teach their own. I feel like I was in enough cold water when I was in the Marine Corps that I don't need to jump in a tub of ice. But I don't
Love
begrudge.
hearing that.
I
I'm not,
just
I
feel,
just told someone the other day, I said, I'm not cold plunging. I'm not doing it.
I
My
just
body
feel
doesn't
like,
want
I
it.
mean, gosh, I hate to say this, Tongue, we are living longer, but
Yeah.
I've been to some of these conferences, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I think sometimes I think we're gonna die when we die, and maybe you do some things and extend a couple years. I don't know. I'm mixed on it. I don't really. I'm not a big advocate of just pushing someone to do all these different treatments if you just lead a healthy life and eat clean, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And there's just so many angles and so much information. And then we can
Right.
chat GPT it, which drives me crazy that people are, I'm like, why are you having a relationship with chat GPT that
Yeah.
it's not even always accurate? Just to have the conversations. And I'm always a big advocate on what feels not comfortable, but what aligns with your intuition that you need to do. You know, the heavy weightlifting hit me and I'm like, you need to do it. And it's like, I can ignore it or I can do it.
Yeah. And there's so many, listen, just like people, I tan, I'm out in the sun all the time, or sometimes let me go to tanning. But, oh, that's really dangerous, Bruce, cancer. Listen, there's so many positives about
Yeah.
vitamin D and the benefits of your health.
I was going to say vitamin D is such a benefit. It's huge.
Yeah. So there again, everyone has. I say this when I got in the nutrition space. Back when I was in the Marine Corps, it's funny. One of my bosses, 'cause I worked with a lot of high profile, high ranking people. One of my bosses said, "Hey, Bruce, just so you know that etiquette of what the job you're doing, never talk about politics and religion. Never." Cool. And then when I got in the nutrition space, I realized there's one more thing. Don't ever talk about nutrition either, because everyone has their beliefs. So I start talking about nutrition. Oh, no, no, you got to go vegan. Oh, no, no, how come you don't
I
have a
know.
soy bar? How come you don't have a? So I realized it's
Yeah.
the same as politics, religion, and nutrition. Everyone has their belief, and I'm like, do your thing. I'm happy for
Yeah.
you. You
Yeah.
know.
Let's launch into that though, because when I got home from a month of traveling, we were showing, I'm going to unpack this later, this box, but let's talk about this. So we're going to put this up there
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people can scan this code, which I
Nice.
think is so important. There you go. For the people on YouTube that are watching, for those of you who are listening on all the other platforms, you might want to hop over to YouTube. I just gave you a scan code, but we're going to give you that information. I got home and I received this incredible box of food. Tell me about that. Tell me
The
what's in
food,
there.
or
Yeah. And let's go back to the story of where you started creating, what built
well,
your wealth. Let's like tie the knots.
yeah. Okay. Well,
Not connect the
honestly,
dots, because I feel with you, it's tying the knots. It doesn't feel
yeah.
like dots to me.
Honestly, well, I'm going to unwind a little bit. When I was a police officer and I had got a taste of protecting people when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a young police officer, young kids, trying, make ends meet. And I ran into a retired Beverly Hills cop who had a security business. I actually took a police report from him. And at the end of the report, he said, "Bruce, you're a really personable guy, really nice guy. I have a security business if you want to work with me like on weekends and nights." And
Yeah.
I started doing this protection business. And after about a year, I started my own company, and that was where wealth came, because I was all about relationships, and I was
Oh,
providing this very unique service. I stayed out of people's ways. I stayed out of their business. I've never been key thing. I'm not friends with my clients. I provide them a service. The problem is people get friendly. But anyway, that's where I built my wealth. I'm living the best life I could possibly live. And then one day I'm in the gym working out, and I meet a woman named Shannon Penna, who goes by Quest Creator, and
yeah.
her husband Ron became fast gym acquaintances. And one day she gave me a couple protein bars, and that started my journey in the nutrition space. She gave me a couple bars, and I'd see her now and then. And I started. There was something, talk about energy, right? Connecting with people. She was so animated about these bars she's making in her kitchen, and matter of fact, she made the first 14 flavors in her kitchen, and then Ron would take them to work and scale it. But that was my first experience, and I started building relationships, helping them, getting all these celebrities' hands, and that's what evolved to my journey in the food space, which obviously I became, one of the key members at Quest, and we sold that for a record number actually in the food
Yeah.
space.
I buy Quest bars in the
Yeah,
airport. Yeah. I mean,
I still, it's
yeah.
crazy. I say this, you don't have to anymore, because I'm not part of the company. But no, I still buy Quest bars. But
Yeah.
it sold for $1 billion cash 6 years
Wow.
ago. But we immediately knew Ron had this idea. He goes, "Listen, we're going to start this other company called Legendary Foods." And what's cool about Legendary, which sets it apart from Quest, Legendary had protein bars and they had great stuff. I'm so proud of Quest. But now Legendary is more relatable. I say this: if you grew up in the States, you've had a Kellogg's Pop Tart. So we have our protein pastries,
Yeah. Well, I
Cinnabons. We
didn't
have our
tell 57 or 60. It was the airport. I was
Yeah.
starving and I'm like, I'm gonna try one of those little thingies.
Yeah, and yeah, we have pastries, sweet rolls, donuts. The donuts to me
Yeah.
are like when you bought them when you're a kid, and 15 seconds to microwave. But we just recently launched the mac and cheese. That's a sweet roll. Yeah, warm
Yeah,
that up.
yeah. That I looked at that and I'm like, are you kidding me? I
Yeah,
said, we're
15
gonna do
sec.
like we're doing a full, I mean, this is insane. And
I gotta
then
tell you what, 15 seconds to microwave with a cup of coffee, and you'll be like, God, I might as well be in France with a Danish or whatever people, you know.
well, I love pastries. I am a
Um, and then
huge
we
pastry.
just launched mac and cheese, which is unheard of. We have 47 grams of protein in a cup of pasta, which I have to send you some. So
Oh,
legendary is
I'm
more,
so in.
yeah,
So
legendary is more relatable foods. That's how I say it. It's relatable foods people can relate to, and it's just a healthier option. Then I always tell you this: eat real food, but if you're on the go, you need extra. This is a prime example where people to get extra protein. It's a good way.
yeah, I love that because, coming off a month of traveling, I noticed that in the hotel I would order I ordered a steak and asparagus and I got that, but it had a ton of salt on it. It wasn't
Yeah.
quite like, I mean, everything isn't what I needed and availability isn't always there. I remember in the airport zooming into being hungry and I'm trying to keep, I love those little beef sticks. What are those little beef sticks that they're jalapeno beef sticks right now. What are those called? They're so good. They're clean, they're grass fed. It'll come to me.
Like chomps? No, I don't know the
Chops,
brand.
chops, yeah. So yeah, I was at a Joe Dispenza event and I went to in LA and I went and bought one and it was $18 and I'm like, I'm never eating that again. That was
Yeah,
80, but I was at the shrine and they got to make a
yeah.
profit there. But then I went and found them at Whole Foods and I'm like, I just bought tons of them. But what do you think of those? Yeah, a lot of people I know, I'm watching everyone eat those. What do you think of those?
I like so meat sticks are great. There's a lot of great brands out there. My friends at First Form came up. There's a lot of great meat sticks. I was crazy as a kid. I was a Slim Jim, which is not healthy. They're full of fat and stuff. But there's a lot of great options in the meat stick, and it's once again a
Yeah.
great way for protein, right? So
Oh yeah. Well, I
same
was
thing
just
with
on the Steve Skogan show and stayed there too long. I mean, it was a long day and then someone else came in. We just had a great day, but I was hungry. I had been there like, I'm like at my seventh hour, no food, drinking water. And I'm like, okay, Steven, you got to serve lunch or something, but we didn't mean to be there that long. But he pulled out a protein shake and I wish I would have saved the container. I'm going to have to text him.
huh?
It was such a good beef stick that he pulled out of the
Mm.
refrigerator. I literally tried to like chew it, not just swallow it because it was
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I remember being in the driver looking back at me and says, "Oh, you look hungry." And I'm like, "Oh, you're watching me eat the beef stick or swallow it or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah." So legendary foods. I'm thrilled to get this. I can't wait to unpack this and show the everyone and actually taste test today
Yeah,
some things because
very
I
cool.
did eat breakfast. We're taping early. I'm gonna go have the sweet roll
There you go.
with some coffee late and I'm gonna like rate it because I love and I was the first in launching the first ready-made cauliflower pizza crust. And it's $1 billion market now. Not that I got to cash in on that, but that's a whole nother story. Not my story.
Yeah.
Well, my story, but it's exactly the way it needed to be. But I love the industry of, and I don't know if I'd ever go into food again because it was just, I mean, I knew nothing about it.
Right, right.
But you did know something about it with Quest, and then you went into this. What is the one thing people need to know about legendary foods?
Listen, it's like I said, it's a healthier option. There's plenty of one thing I tell people is in the food space, I have friends of mine all the time send me articles. Oh, this company started this equal like comparable to what we make.
Oh, people used to do that with cauliflower foods, Cali
Uh,
Power, this, that. I'm
yeah,
like,
and and I even one of my friends I said, I don't know why you do this if it's just to kind of irk me, but
yeah,
I said all I focus on is my customers and not my competition. And I said you should do the same thing with your business because to
yeah,
me, I just an example of how the category is all elevated. When Quest came to the market, it was the hottest bar in the world.
it
But
was.
but what happened was the whole category rose. So someone would walk into a GNC and buy a Quest bar, and they say, "Oh, what's this other bar?"
Yeah,
And so to me, what's that saying? All tide boats raise the tide. What? Oh, no.
rise, yeah, all the
Yeah.
water, yeah,
My
all
my
boats,
point
yeah.
my point is this: like Legendary is doing very well, and other people are coming out protein pastries. God bless them. I hope they crush
Yeah,
it because it
yeah,
raises the category. So
yeah.
I like we're in our lane, right? We're going to keep coming up with innovative things. One thing's very unique about Legendary. People don't know our research and development department, R&D, is a group of people that make recipes day and night. And
Mm.
unlike big companies like Kellogg's, where they make they have a very small R&D because they make the same stuff. They set it to shelf. Nothing changes in those companies. The product I sent you in that box today will be a different, better formula in 6 months. We'll find a better way to, a better source, a better flavor. So we're always innovating. That makes us completely different than everyone in the industry. People are like, "Hey, I got this product done. Let's set it and go." No, no, we're always innovating.
Well, let's talk about the food business because
Yeah.
I've had a taste of it. It's a difficult market. I remember and I remember people sending me, and I'm like, oh, we're the first, and feeling anxious. And I
Yeah.
look back on it, and I thought, something my business partner told me that was brilliant. I mean, people would say, I got my product moldy, and I'm like, you did not. I got the cameras on the delivery date. You let it sit out there, and she said, doesn't matter. Customer service doesn't matter. Let's send them more. And I'm like, we're losing money, and she's like, no. Customer service, customer service. Do you believe in giving really great customer service?
That's the most important thing in life. You're only as good as your last sale in business. I don't care where you go. I mean, we had some challenges at Quest. We had early on, we had formulation problems, and so the bars got hard. We had actually made a formulation change at some point, and and because of social media, someone flipped over the package one day and read the ingredients and says, "Oh, look, they cheapened their ingredients," which was not the case. We found a better source of fiber, but because
Right.
someone went to social media, it became wildfire. And I swear we were at 400 million plus a year in sales, and we dropped, I think it was a 20% hit. Do the math on that, because
Wow.
people attacked us, and when that went viral, so we had to reformulate again. And we sent out, I want to say we sent out 700,000 bars to people. Hey, we
Yeah.
heard you loud and clear. We love you. We respect you. And here's what we've done.
Service again. You
Yeah.
just you showed
But
up and did more.
But the minute, like even now, like people will message me, "Hey, I got the package. It was crushed." They'll have a package on the desk the next day before the ink dries, if you will. So
Yeah.
it's all about customer service. I don't care how big you get; you're only as good as your last sale. I promise everyone that, because
Yeah.
people get a little cocky and arrogant, and you can't lose sight of that.
So I love that so much. And I'm going to say that was the best lesson I ever took for my business partner because it was I wanted to fight for the truth. Yeah, I think it's a Libra. I wanted injustice just did they're doing us wrong. But
Right?
it wasn't about that. It was about the reviews were brilliant and then it just went all the way. But you're right, it would have been, she said, is that worth a bad review that and a picture of molded? And I'm like, uh yes, it's worth it because and I wanted to fight to the death, but boy,
Yeah,
it would have been the death of the company at that moment too, that was already
yeah,
struggling. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Love that.
Unfortunately, but it's just the facts of life.
Well, exactly. Well, there's so many entrepreneurs listening right now, and I have a lot of food companies and people that are startups that are listening. And I hope you all heard that to the death. And I was just in Florida, and this is such a great example. I ordered these little organic, they were carrots. They were very unique and very expensive for my new grandson. Little carrots to play with and kale, and they were so bright and colorful, and I won't say the company's name, but they sent us the wrong stuff.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, oops, you sent us the wrong stuff." And it was already in the hundreds for these little things. And no, they weren't quite what they were pictured. Like, that's okay. They'll make it right. Well, they're like, you can send that back. Now, here, my daughter's a new mother. She's going to go to the post office and send back your $80,
Yeah,
little radish that hooked onto his binky. And I don't think so. She's not going to, and I'm not going to take the time.
yeah.
And then you're going to offer us what we ordered for 30% off. I'm like,
Ah, interesting.
and then we pushed back with a lovely email,
Hmm.
and they never gave. I haven't written the review yet, but I'm going to because I think it's important. Because my daughter, when I left Florida, ended up ordering the kale because it was our favorite piece. It was unimpressive when
Ah,
it came. But more importantly, I won't talk about that. I'm going to talk about the customer service because I gave 3 emails, and tell me what you think about this. 3 lovely emails asking them to do the right thing and giving them the scenario of what they were putting a new mom through that, and people that are going to order this are going to be new moms,
right.
and they
They did. Yeah.
they never gave.
That's a lot. 3 emails. That's listen. I tell people that's really important because a lot of dissatisfied customers say nothing. So the fact you spoke up and 3 different times, I've been like, okay, that's on our radar.
Yeah. I
And I
really
remember,
wanted that kale. I was so excited about the kale. The rest of the stuff I did, the carrots, they sent, and and then they sent this little carrot ring thing that we didn't want, and they wanted to charge us for that. I just thought, am I living in a different world right now? And what do you think about that? I mean, here you are, you've got legendary foods, you have a great premise, but do you think things are changing out there? Because I was more blown away each time. Every time they responded, I was more blown away, Bruce.
yeah, I mean, obviously things have evolved and changes, and not all. Listen, some companies are just about sales, 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 and they'll let the customer service reviews, you know, go their way, and they don't address them. Everyone has different philosophies. To me, ours is, like I said, you're as good as your last sale. We learned a valuable lesson early on at Quest. There was a woman named Joy Ramita. I remember early on when we were first making the Quest bars, she had wrote us. And by the way, social media was very light then. They had Facebook and there's some blogs, but I remember she wrote us an email saying, "Hey, I bought these Quest bars, and two of them are the weight is not accurate." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She sent pictures like on the scale, on a food scale, and then she basically was the one that kept us in check, because at the time we didn't have, you know, the bars are made and they could
Let's
be off
go.
by, and so we had to
Yeah.
get this machinery that now literally it's so advanced, it comes
Yeah.
by like in a millisecond. If it doesn't meet weight, it just it gets
Yeah.
kicked
Oh,
off
I
the line.
remember those days.
But
Calorie counts too.
but
Engineers,
she
all of
would
it. Yeah.
write us every couple months, "Hey, you guys are doing a good job," and all of a sudden we're like, "God, this woman is like holding us accountable." And we ended up doing an award based on her to outstanding customers, but only because that, like, and so to me, if you wrote me an email 3 times, I'd be like, hey team, what's going on? Like, this is someone we got to fly out here. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I'd
And
fly you out.
lovely emails of like, oh, can
Yeah,
you,
but that,
and yeah,
like I said, because you're going to tell 10 friends, whether you quietly just say it or whether you do go it on social media. To me, that's deadly. And to
and
me, if I got,
I'm never gonna recommend,
yeah,
which,
and
referral based, it's word of mouth. People talk about things they love.
word of mouth, and so to me, and even if someone's really completely satisfied, they may not even tell anyone. But the
Yeah.
dissatisfied customer, they're dangerous.
Well,
Do
I'm going to
everything you
tell
can to
you,
appease them.
hey,
Make it
flight
right.
home all the way to California. I
Yeah,
I was like writing the review in my mind. How can I make it polite? How can I make it generous? How can I say something positive? Because I'm very, if you write a bad review, it's big.
yeah,
I don't want to do it. But
yes,
I do think that, you know what, gave you every opportunity, and strike
yeah,
three, you're out. And now I'm
yeah.
going to say what I think. And
Three is a lot. Three's a lot. You'd be on the
yeah.
top of the radar. The CEO should be calling you on the phone saying, "Hey, I
What I
apologize.
thought.
Yeah."
Yeah. And not that I think I'm so important, but
No, no. But
yeah,
here's the thing: everyone's important, because
yeah,
we live in a world where we have megaphones now. You know.
yeah. And I use that really responsibly. I like to give shout outs to lovely companies too,
Yeah.
and things I love over and over again, not just once, but
Mhm.
repetitively. This is what I use. This is what I'm doing. Da da da. And I think that's important too. But you're right. So many people don't say a word, and
Yeah.
but we do hear the negative, I think, more than the positive.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. That's a fact. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I'm looking down at my questions here, and I had so many. I wanted you to take us back. You did, but what in your life right now? Legendary foods, you've got your children, you've got, what lights you up the most? What if people are listening, because this is a heavy time. It's been a
Yeah.
heavy year. 2026 has been a heavy year. What can you share? Because you've got great energy, great discipline. What can you share for the people that are listening that might feel a little bit disjointed, a little lost, a little I can't get started motivation, energy?
Well, here's how I look at it. We are literally halfway through the year right now, right? We're 6 months in, and
Today, yeah. I say the
but
first, or yesterday first. Yeah,
but it's
literally.
literally 6 months
Literally.
has blown by. And I guarantee 6 months ago, people woke up on New Year's Day and say, "Hey, I'm gonna lift weights. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna start my business."
Mm,
And 6 months later, they have done nothing to accomplish that. Here's the good news: regardless
mm.
of what's going on in the world in politics and whatever's going on in the world, you need to focus on you and think about, okay, well, the next 6 months, what can I do to actually accomplish these things now and get out of my own way, and not be at New Year's Eve on 2027. Believe me, that's God. That seems like
Gosh, even
that's
saying that,
like
I'm like,
that's
ah,
like the Jetsons, right? And think about that. don't don't go 6 more months and say, gosh, why didn't I start losing that weight? Why didn't I start working out? Why didn't I tell the person that I love them? Why didn't I embrace these great things in life? Because even I do know this, and I don't know, I've been optimistically positive my whole life. Don't get me wrong, I've had some shit days. I went through a divorce, it cost me everything. I was living in my friend's guest house. And I remember one day I woke up and I was like, I kind of felt like a little defeated, but I said, well, I have a gym membership. I'm always going to be able to make money. I mean, that's going to always happen. I could do I'll make money. I don't know how people can't have that mindset. Just go out and do something, make money. And I have my health. So I don't know. I've been down and out. And I just, sometimes you have to realize like, we got it pretty good here. We got a good gig here. And,
Hmm.
you got to embrace what you have. I think the problem is people I don't know, they let the outside world affect them too much, I think. And other people's opinions. I say this, like, don't get me wrong, I don't like hearing things that are negative, maybe even said about me, but I say this, it's none of my business what people think about me. You almost, and it's hard, I know, because then you hear something and say,
Yeah,
oh gosh, but
yeah,
really, people need to have that mindset, like
yeah,
I didn't go on my first stage because I was so in fear of what people thought about me. And it wasn't in Tim Grover. I was at an event and I got to know him pretty well. And he heard my story and he said, Bruce, he goes, think about this. You were a veteran in the Marine Corps. You've been involved with shootings as a police officer, and you're worried about what 300 strangers think in a room. He goes, think about that. 300 strangers. And he goes, what do you think they're going to say? Oh, he missed a sentence in his speech, or he. And I realized I had to really process that. And he goes, they don't. No one cares. Like no one cares.
yeah. No, they don't. They don't. But I love that. And I think there's so many people and have trepidation and hold themselves back from the fear of what someone might say. I took a lot of hits last year. A lot was said, and I'm like, ouch. I did say this out loud once on the plane.
Yeah,
Ouch.
yeah,
And but I always say bless and release, and I still say I love her anyway. I love her anyway. And people have a narrative, and the if they have a narrative and they want their story, it's none of my business. And
yeah.
the truth doesn't always, I don't think, would you believe this to be true too, or maybe you don't think the truth doesn't always come out. We don't always win in the truth.
100%.
How do we find peace with that? How do we find peace
Um,
when we're misunderstood and we're like, that's not true? How do you release? And
no, but listen, we're all human. Don't get me wrong. I could say, "Oh, I'm a big tough Marine." Da, da. Because I've had that happen where people have told me stories, even the early days of Quest, how who was involved with the company. It's funny now, years later, the company sold. I run into people say, "Oh, I met one of the founders. And I'm like, who? Like, I've never heard that person." And then I try and correct it. A matter of fact, this woman was going to have me on her podcast. I swear on everything. This is a year ago. She had a different story, and I said, well, here's really, and I wrote her like a paragraph. I said, here's really the story of Quest. And she goes, why would you make that up? And I said, I was there, I lived it. Well, no,
yeah,
I talked to someone who, I said, I'd just be honest with you. I said, sometimes people say things, and I don't know
yeah,
who Ben Franklin said it, or a famous person said, if you're gonna write your story, hold your own pen, kind of thing.
yeah,
Like hold, and I said, I think sometimes people write stories because it serves them better when they're on a stage or when they're selling a course. I said, but I'll be honest with you, not everyone's honest in this world. And when you live the story, but anyway, what was my point to that is, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Is
no, you're right on point. And I think a lot of people listening, I think it might hit home that, and everyone might have their own perspective of the story too. It's like they hear this version and they build it out, and you're like, that's not true.
Well,
Um,
and it's hard because especially if you hear someone on stage, like we see it quite often. Someone's on stage preaching, 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 and all of a sudden, oh, they just got arrested for a Ponzi scheme. But you already spent, they're raising money, they're doing millions. So not everyone's story is factual, and sometimes you have to tell your own story, and you have to
yeah.
be honest and believe it, and do the best you can, right?
Yeah. Well, you said stay in your own lane, which was really great advice. But how do you believe in staying in your own lane when you know someone is out there and they're pontificating and their story is absolutely untrue and they're profiting and influencing? Do
Yeah.
you call that out, or do you just let it go and say, "Hey, staying in my own lane"?
No, no, I have no problem. I don't feel the need to go to social media, but I will tell people when they said, "Hey, I just wrote a check to so and so for this." I said, hey, let me ask you a question. Did you do that based on the Instagram story because you saw I'm staying at the Four Seasons and
Oh,
in the rented Lamborghini? I said, I know a lot of people get money, but maybe do homework on people you're paying money to. Maybe ask them for a reference. Maybe ask them for their resume. But people see the shiny object and they like, I gotta be part of that. As you know, I mean, people get taken every day.
yeah.
That's why I truly like helping people. As part of the business model I started, I have my own website. I do coaching per se. Coaching, that sounds kind of funny, right? But I like
Like,
helping. I like
coaching is an
helping.
old word that got really exploited and distorted
Yeah,
and actually taken advantage of. And even
yeah,
my team says, hey, take coach off your website. You've always been a mentor. And I'm like, oh, you know what? But I do help people. I am a coach.
yeah.
But
I like helping people, and however that's perceived, and yes, sometimes it involves monetary. I learned this actually from you. Just mentioned the name Dave Meltzer, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
did say his last name right.
You said it right. I
And
said Metzler, you said Melsner.
when
Exactly
I'm
right.
at events, and I learned this from him, and I did it. He was at an event, and he said, "Hey guys, here's my number." He had his number up on the screen, and he goes, "That's really my cell phone." He goes, "If anyone wants to call me or text me, I'll give you 15 minutes free." And then in the next event, he said the same thing. He said, "You know what's funny? I put my phone number on the screen every event, and out of a room of 500 people, I might hear from 3 people, and that really hit me." So
Yeah,
then I spoke at my first event in front of 600 people, and I said, "Hey, I'm here to help you." I said, "Whether you hire me or not, it doesn't matter. I want to help." There's millionaires sitting in this room that you're not millionaires yet, but you will be one day. And if I could help you fast track, here's my number. And I did the same thing, but and 6 people text me, and I really thought about the odds. 600 people in a room and only 5 people text you. Is it because they're afraid to ask for help? Do they
yeah,
think there's a gimmick? Do they think there's a catch? And the people that did, I had calls with all of them, and nothing came of any of it. I didn't make any money. One woman I fast tracked. I
mm.
said, "Here's the couple things I could tell you. You're in the food business. Let me do da 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 da." And she wrote me and said, "I feel like I owe you money." I said, "No, no, I just want to see you succeed." But
That's so interesting. I don't even think it's that. I think it's people hiding. They don't want to ask what they don't know.
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
because they're afraid of being seen and not knowing enough. And I mean, I remember with cauliflower, I'm at farmer's market and selling cauliflower pizza crust. I didn't know I had to have a temperature control. I'm like, I didn't know I have food license. Oh, okay, I'll get it. And then I just kept flying by the seat of my pants
right,
until, and I didn't know. So I kept asking questions. And then on the back, there's got to be a calorie and
right,
grams. And I'm like, how do I do that? And I thought, well, I'm here Chico State. I'll call the university and it was, and that's how I did it. I didn't have any answers. I did
yeah.
not know what I was doing except for I had a passion and a burn that I knew I wanted to do it. And what do you think about that for people out there? Are those the people you want to call you? They have passion burn, they're doing it and they don't have the answers?
Yeah, exactly. You said it best. The woman that's selling cauliflower pizza illegally but doesn't know, I want to help them because there's yeah, food handlers, but there's process, and I talk to people every day. As long as you're willing to learn or take advice, I meet people sometimes that are founders of companies and or people that make a food, right? They make a food item. Valuable lesson. A woman it wanted she took me to lunch. She wanted me to try this chocolate bar she made. It was supposed to be a healthier option, and I tried it and she goes, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, do you want me to be honest?" I said, "Because I can't be not honest." And I said, "It's not really. I can't even get like the third bite rule in food is really it because you try it's the third bite. If you're still enjoying it, then you might have something." So I told her, I said, it's not really my thing." And she goes, "Well, that's really weird, Bruce, because everyone that's tried it really says that they like it." And I said, "Well, who are these people?" "Well, my family, my coworkers, my friends." I said, "You know what they all have in common?" "What's that?" I go, "They're all lying." And and I go, "Do you think your boyfriend wants to hurt your feelings? Do you think your girlfriend wants to say you shouldn't wear that outfit? Do you think and I use this analogy. I
Yeah.
maybe you go to your grandmother's house for dinner, and whatever that meal is, and you're like, "Oh my God, you're giving it a dog," and then
Yum.
you love it. "Oh my God, Grandma, I can't." No one, I said, so don't ask people you love and care about because they're going to lie to you. So when I help people in the food business, if you want me to try your product, I'm going to be honest. I have to be honest because I want to save you a lot of heartache, time, and energy and not have you produce a chocolate bar that no one's going to buy. And she mistakenly spent a lot of money, made all these 50,000 bars or some crazy number and couldn't sell any of them. So my point is, what was my point? You have to be open to receiving honest feedback and then willing to make a change. People get caught up in that founder and oh well, I started this company. Oh, I know everything. Well, okay, cool. You might, but there's some things you need to change.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, what a great conversation
Mhm.
for entrepreneurs and startups. Hey, where can people find you? Are you speaking? I know you got your website. Let's give some deets. And of course, we're going to
Um,
follow up with all of it.
yeah, I'm speaking. I mean, I have a website, brucecardenas.com, and I think that finds me everywhere. And then of course Instagram. I mean, yeah, I'm speaking. I'm helping people. I'm promoting the book. I mean, the book is a great tool because it's something to talk about when you're on events or podcasts.
Yeah.
And really, I'm working on my second book, which I never think isn't that crazy. Like, oh, now you're an author. Um, is
Yeah.
My second book is called Servant Leader. Is really
Oh,
about it's
yeah.
just been in my life since a little boy, but what that means, what that, and a lot of people may be servant leaders and they're not aware of it. Just the takeaways on, and like we all have like there's love languages, right? I have my languages, and one of them is serving other people. I I've
Active service. Yeah, I can see that.
I've always been a giver, not a taker. Like I don't receive well. Like if people send me a gift or something, I'm always kind of like, what do I say,
Yeah,
right?
you didn't even receive well a compliment that I gave you. And
Yeah,
I could feel how uncomfortable you were. And I'm like, oh, he's all about giving and acts of service, and I could
yeah.
see the service, but I thought he's really uncomfortable on the
Yeah,
receivership. Yeah.
yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, I don't like. I mean, it feels good, but you don't know how to like. For me,
Yeah.
there's a wiring thing. Okay, what do I say? Like, oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Um, so
Yeah.
to me,
Thank you.
that's just been my life. I like giving to other people. And I will say this: there's not enough givers in the world. There's plenty of takers. There's not enough givers. And truly heartfelt. I think the more you give to people, the more you're going to receive. And it's
Mm,
not by design. I'm not like, oh, I'm giving because I know I'm going to get. No, it just happens. I think things come back to you. They come back to you.
yeah.
You know.
And not specifically the time we want them to at times. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that if you do it with an expectation and an outcome, I think that never works. But
Yeah.
a genuine
You
act
know,
of service. Yeah.
lead by example. One of the greatest lessons my dad taught, because I grew up back east in New Jersey, and of course there's four seasons. So in our area, you're raking leaves, shoveling snow, cutting grass. And I remember my brother and I and this kid across the street, Wesley, we started a little side hustle. We go around shoveling, sidewalks in the winter and putting rock salt down.
Yeah.
And whatever, I don't remember whatever that they give you $3, $2, whatever, right? And my dad said, "Hey, there's one rule." And I remember these people by name: Mrs. Apgar, Mrs. Hoffman, Mrs. Smith. You can't charge those women, Bruce. I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "They're elderly. You need to go shovel their sidewalks because they can't do it themselves. You need to clean off their windshields." And at the time, you're like, "Yeah, Dad, what? That's some bullshit." You know what I mean? Because you're a kid, right?
You don't get it. You
And
don't
it
get it
came
yet.
back.
Yeah.
It came. But they would like make us cookies, and when I got older, I realized, well, they were on fixed pensions, and we really did something. And today, to this day, like help people that can't help themselves. It's just such a good feeling. You know.
I have a feeling that that's why you're so successful. I think you just radiate that. You attract incredibly good people. It's probably why I like flew across the room and said, "I need to know you." And I mean, it was kind of weird. There were only two people in the room that I did that with, and
Yeah.
it's so amazing. There were so many people in that room, and it
Yeah.
was darker, and I didn't. People are like, "I was there," and I'm like, really? There's so many people, but for me, energy is everything, and I felt your heart of service. I
Wow.
felt
You're
that
phenomenal.
yeah, I just wanted to know you. I thought that's a good egg.
It might
Uh,
have been that might have been the shoulders too. So.
it might have been the shoulders too that I just like put my hand there and thought, what is going on here? I need to hire him as a trainer. I need to because
All right.
well, it was Christmas last year. I said, okay, you're gonna have to start doing some heavy lifting. By the time you're 65, you're going to be in a contest weightlifting, and
Oh,
that's what I said. And I'm
nice.
like, but you got to start now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's been a little bit of a struggle with travel, but I could get up at the hotel early and do that, and I do that. I'd love to be honest. I don't do that as much as I'd like to. Hotel gyms don't rock my world,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Me too. I mean, listen, I've had times where I'm like, I'm going to skip today, but I
yeah,
try. I mean, I really do try religiously to do something every day.
yeah.
But
Bravo, bravo. Well, I'm gonna open this. We're
yeah.
gonna film this
Oh,
later. Hey, what do we
I-
want to leave? What do we want to leave the people with?
um,
What message do you want to leave them with?
I like I said, start today. I don't care what it is. Like I said, if it's a business, if it's your personal life, just start today. Do something. Do something to make the world a better place, and do something to make yourself a better person, Help someone, do something, say something. I don't know. It's never too late. I really, really, I meet so many people that I keep hearing them say, I'm going to start that. I'm going to do that. And they let the opinions of others affect them. They let their significant other, I've literally met men and women that their significant other talks them out of doing something
Yeah.
by negative talk, by, oh, you can't do that. And how many people they end up getting divorced and think, why did I waste 20 years not doing that dream? So to me,
Yeah.
just do it. And if your partner, I say this all the time, if your partner's not supporting you, well, maybe you don't have the right partner. Like you elevate the people in your life. If your boyfriend, girlfriend saying, hey, babe, what can I do to help you do better in life? Because I
Yeah.
do say this, if you're not bringing value to your partner in any, whether it's love, personal, business, why be with someone if you're not bringing them value?
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant advice. I think that you should rewind and listen to that. Oh, did I say rewind? Did that just date me?
No,
We
no,
don't rewind anymore. What do they do? Just go back,
yeah.
listen to that a second and a third and a fourth time because I can't think of any better advice to live by than that right there. And leaving on that note, I just think it's brilliant. Bruce, you are amazing.
Thank you.
Adored you from day one. Love your energy. Think you're doing great things in the world. You heard it here. He will, if you get his number, he will reach out. He will
Yeah.
mentor. And you can hire him on his website. We'll have all the deets, everything available. And reach out to me. All these, reach out to me. And if you can't find him, I will redirect. What is your handle on Instagram? And that's where you like to hang out the most, right?
Yeah, yeah. Bruce E. Cardenas. Bruce E. Cardenas.
Bruce E. Cardenas, you're going to want to follow him there. He's always doing crazy stuff.
I
I'm always like,
appreciate
well, where are you doing? What are you doing now? And I mean, when I got the food box, I'm like, how did I miss this? And I think that, sometimes people are so busy in their life and it's so great to see the inspiration and how you're always paying it forward. And I can see that always. So Bruce, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And my audience is blessed beyond on just this connection and this show today. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us today and be safe. We're sending you oodles and oodles of good energy and blessings. And until next time, we'll see you again.